Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, and we are on episode 262. I am back from Costa Rica, ready to bring you that astro weather again. So what is happening this week? This is what this episode is going to be about. Pluto stationing retrograde, which began on Sunday, May 4th. I won't say it. Then Mercury in Aries, sextiling Jupiter in Gemini, which happened on Tuesday, May 6th. I'm going to talk about that. I know we're still in that energy very much and just beginning this Pluto retrograde. On Saturday, May 10th, Mercury ingresses into Taurus. Monday, May 12th, we have a full moon in Scorpio. And on that same day, Mercury in Taurus will square Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. I don't even want to know the power dynamics that are going to play out between my two boys. As you guys know, one is they square each other in every way. Their moons square each other, Libra moon, Capricorn moon, and then they square each other. One is a Taurus rising, Taurus Mercury. The other one is an Aquarius rising, Aquarius Mercury. So those two signs square each other. They love each other, but they're both, with the fixed energy, it's always about control, which happens with their battles. So first, I got back from Costa Rica, and I want to say I'm sorry I didn't get an episode out sooner. You guys know how it is. You have been listening long enough. When I travel, I end up coming back. I have worked in the salon every day since, and May's kid schedule is crazy. So I have just been in it. So I'm sorry it's a Thursday. It's so worth it though. I work hard. I play hard. I love the breaks. I totally tune out when I go away. And then I come back and I have to work like crazy. But it's worth it. Soon I'll get back into the groove. You guys know how it goes. Again, you've been flowing with all my Mercury vibes for a long time. So Costa Rica, my second time there. I finally got to, on the last episode, I talked about how I manifested it. I finally got to bring my kids there. This place is so magical. To me, it is magical. This is, again, the second time, and the energy is so pure. Everyone is so happy. The sun always sets between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m., which naturally, pura vida, the pure life, that is why I believe I see my body gets right in sync. I naturally go to bed by 8 o'clock. I wake up at 5:36 a.m. And where we were was where the tropical rainforest was in Manuel Antonio was on the beach. My two favorite worlds in one place. And so I'd wake up with howler monkeys, toucans, the macaws, like all these amazing nature. However, I will say the howler monkeys, they could, have shut the fuck up literally by day 4. I love them, but when I couldn't sleep the one night, they start howling at midnight and they don't stop until 6 a.m. And it's crazy. It's really cool, but when you can't sleep, you're like, oh my God, can someone please tell them be quiet? But it's quite an experience. And I just want to say this out there. So I know these trips, especially Costa Rica, they can be quite affordable. If you go off a certain time, like I've learned, this is my little hack for spring break. I take my kids out of school. They're fine. They're young enough and they're pretty good at school. So they're not really missing too much. And I take them out literally like the day after Easter when most people's spring break ends. And that week, things are like 50% cheaper. I am not lying, especially that week. So just a little tidbit. And what I paid for a family of 4, because I was my kid's father, for an entire 8 days, literally a lot of people pay for 1 week down at the Jersey Shore. I'm not talking shit on the Jersey Shore. I know everyone loves it and it's very nostalgic, but let's get with it. You see perfect nature. All you see at the Jersey Shore is houses. I can't get over it, really. Sorry, not to talk shit on the Jersey Shore, but at my hotel, I'll just say this, it was Shauna by the beach. I was saying Shana, but they corrected me, which is I like when people correct me in their country, tell me how to say things. And it was $159 a night. And I had looked for the week after, actually, like last week starting, and it was like $112 a night. So I'm telling you guys, the world is out there. If you want a really cool adventure, if you need it, check out Costa Rica. It's safe. It's beautiful. It's a pure energy. Everybody is happy. They get the business done, but they're all happy. It sort of has a little bit of that Italy vibe, which is why I loved Italy so much. I just like when people just get what all that matters in life is enjoying. And somehow these places, people get it. And actually near Jocko, which is I mean, everywhere's 3 hours, even though the country's the size of West Virginia. Everything is 3 hours away because of the road setup. And there's like a blue zone group there somewhere near somewhere kind of close to where we were, maybe an hour away. You can see it at the airport there. But those are the groups of people around the world that live for 100 years, or I think more than that. More people have lived to 100 years old and all the health things. And one of those is in Costa Rica. So I'm telling you, if you're looking for a sign, this is your sign to go to Costa Rica and just go. It's the rainy season, but it's still beautiful there, and the worst of it, I went in the rainy season in October and it didn't even rain. Okay. Now let's get back to astrology. That's my little Costa Rica vibe. I hope that you feel those Costa Rica vibes I still have in me, because I'm telling you that Pura Vida energy, Pura Vida, it lasts with you. Now, let's get back to astrology. We are in this fire energy now. Finally, Venus has ingressed back into Aries, where she'll sort of finish out the beginning of the Mercury retrograde. Once Venus moves into Taurus, then we're kind of out of Mercury retrograde. But this is like the good stuff. This is the time where like the solutions that, to the problems that happened at the beginning of this retrograde when Venus first entered Aries happen now. So the good vibes, the moving forward, no more stuck energy. So it's just kind of clearing out, bringing the clarity you need in your life. We have Neptune now in Aries, Mercury in Aries for another week, and Mars in Leo. So again, fire, fire, fire. One thing I want to remind you is that with fire, there is action, but there can also be chaos and the overwhelming feelings that come with faster paces or things happening at a really intense time. We also burn shit up during this time, okay? So fire energy, it's been a mix. We came right from all that sad, sappy water energy, like deep emotional, to fire, which is also just as emotional, but in another way. So we do feel much better, but there may still be this like underlining current, right, of energy that's just that we don't know where to place yet, that's like burning up inside of us, that's coming alive. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable, but guess what? We got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, especially if we want to grow. So let's go back, okay, to, again, this fire energy I'm talking about. We're so excited to leave and entering into fire. And here's why. Here's what we love about fire, like I said. Action, movement, excitement, drive, passion, just that force energy that is, ooh. And obviously fire signs and air signs kind of love that jolt a little bit more. But, ooh, we are here. Now, here's the flip side to fire energy. Just like every single element has a flip side to it. It can also bring fire energy impulsiveness, chaos, confusion, anger, riots. That kind of energy also comes with fire. So again, you may be still feeling confused, chaotic, especially what happened over these retrograde times. Now we're looking at 2.5 months ago, really 3 months ago. I really feel pretty much we've been going through this retrograde energy since Venus entered Pisces in January. So again, for some of you, that fire energy might be a combo of both. And, you can move through this energy gracefully. So that's what I want to talk about, right? We see this, and I don't want you guys to get scared. We have to, though, be honest that there is this whole other side to everything. I think some people just say, we'll ignore it or we won't. But that doesn't teach you how to move through things gracefully. That doesn't teach you how to move through things with the detachment mindset. So you can take thoughtful action, right, instead of impulse action. If you know yourself well enough or pay attention to yourself well enough, you know when you're doing something impulsive or acting on impulse. Doing something you shouldn't, even though it's exciting, right? I'm definitely guilty of that. I have a lot of Gemini. Impulse, are you kidding me? I got married after meeting someone and knowing someone for 2 months. And I was 30. That was my Saturn return. We're not going to, some of you know, some of you don't. Acting or snapping on someone, because of impulsive energy. We're going to look at that. How can you move through it gracefully? Hit that pause button. Stop, think, repeat. Stop, think, repeat. So by now, if you have no idea about your impulsive energy, you're going to start learning about it. You're going to say, okay, I heard Colleen talk about it. Let me bring awareness. How do I act impulsively? And we can still have some excitement with impulse energy, like something that's good and healthy. Oh, my friend just randomly told me that she's going to drive down the shore for the night and she wants a friend and we're going to go meet a bunch of fun random people. That is a great impulse idea, right? Things that are bringing fun or joy or good energy or good vibes, that's a good impulse. But not like, maybe I should go meet that guy who, I know is not good for me, or girl who is not good for me, and just like, because I can get this chaos and then we're going to go rob a bank because we need the money. No, that's not a good impulse, right? So obviously, hopefully you guys are not going to rob a bank, but you get what I mean. Things like that of like a harder negative energy, hit that pause button, think and repeat, stop. Oftentimes with the pause, we only need like 5 minutes, if that, probably 30 seconds to just pause and be like, yeah, how am I going to respond to this? How am I going to respond? Think about it and then repeat the action until you understand. So if you take action, make it constructive action, purposeful action. If you're taking action and everything we do, every step is an action, make sure it's purposeful, not just chaotic, right? Or just because that leads to taking non-purposeful action leads to chaos, right? You don't even know what you're doing, what the direction of the action is. So what does that lead to? Chaos. So do you know what you have to do in order for that to happen? Okay? Guess. No. Stop, think, repeat. A lot of added issues are solved or don't come about, again, when we stop, think, repeat. That's going to be drilled into your head. So impulse or issues around that, it will almost be first nature energy that comes up during this time. Again, especially just like impulsive energy. But when we know this, we can approach this energy differently, like I said, and shift it in our lives. It's all about controlling our actions. So our reactions to the things that happen around us. So these planets bring that energy and we learn how to use it in the highest good, not the other way around. So to tie into here, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. This retrograde began on May 4th and it ends on October 13th in the sign of Aquarius. This is the first Pluto retrograde that we're staying in Aquarius, right? The last 2 years of retrogrades, it's gone back into Capricorn, back into Aquarius. So now we're really formally in this Aquarius energy. What does this retrograde look like? This is the first Pluto retrograde. Oh, I already said that. I'm reading my notes. This is what happens when I have my notes too, because I just keep them there for placement, but then I also will just start talking and then I'm like, wait, what am I doing here? So it's been bouncing around. So Pluto represents power, control, transformation, evolution, but mostly evolution through death and rebirth. All right? Destruction. Dictators on a collective level. Pluto is so far away. That's why we call them the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They say the influence is less than the 7 classical planets that are much closer. So for those, that's why they get the more collective, like that's what they're in control of. But it does play out in our charts, just not so heavily as like I feel like personally as a Saturn transit or a Mars transit in our birth chart. Pluto definitely you will see, but you definitely see on the collective how that shows up. So personally though, when we do have that personal reflection, I like to use Pluto as a reflection into the power and control in our life and a deeper understanding into why and how the power plays show up in your life. When we look to power plays, yes, Mars, but also Pluto, especially in that deep, like hidden subterranean power we have. So what does power look like in your life? I know for me, when I'm in a power play, like a professional one, I almost detach. Because I've learned over the years, I don't want to say something that holds me accountable for something that I'm not fully processing or not fully ready to do or agree to. So I've learned that about myself because it would happen. I'd get myself caught up in like someone professionally or something, not like a issue. Do you get what I'm saying? Like something professionally, it would get me caught up and then I'd be like, oh my God, what did I agree to? I don't want that. So I've learned to just kind of take it in, detach from it, and then say, I'll get back to you. I can't answer you. I'll get back to you and let you know. That is what I've learned. So, but that only came after repeated reflection of these uncomfortable moments, right? Getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So when now I'm put in those situations, my brain first dings, don't respond, don't react, wait. So reflect on this over this week when we're in this energy leading up to the full moon on all the power plays in the moment of conflict, right? All the power plays that you have when you like know it's coming, like that we need to talk question that people say, or any sort of conflict. Reflect on that. So just like in the moment, like with a stranger versus someone, I'm much better with conflict with a stranger. Like I could just pop off. You're gonna see a side of me that you don't have no problem. But I actually have a harder time with conflict with friends I know and people I know. If they've already pissed me off from the beginning and I don't like them, I don't have a problem with it. But if I like them, or things like that conflict I have a much harder time with. But strangers, and I know some of you might be vice versa, so reflect on that. Another reflection is that's going to come up for you guys is if people have controlled or manipulated you, reflect on that. But also if you have been manipulating yourself, free yourself. So this is a time, because we're in that fire energy, that's the burning up, that's the letting go, that's the burning down. This is time to let this go, or really reflect vice versa. Find yourself, understand yourself, and where you need to be freed. So the power shifts happen during Pluto retrograde, but they're the ones that have been playing out. And I see that there is a real shift in power during this time. So we can go back to last year. You can show up as last year's Pluto retrograde and conflicts that came out, like when it hits the retrograde again, that power dynamic can shift. So just to say an easy example, a husband and wife, maybe the husband was very controlling and had the upper hand in a hard situation last year. And then this year, now the wife has the upper hand and has the more power, right? So you can see these power dynamics shift throughout your life, shift throughout the world during these retrogrades. And that's kind of for everything. Because a lot of things actually play out during retrogrades, or they come back again. It's a time for things to come full circle. So remember this, because on Monday, the 12th, we have this full moon in Scorpio. And the modern astrologers, they associate Pluto with Scorpio. Well, the ancient astrologers, Mars with Scorpio. I associate both, to be honest, but different, right? Like two different meanings, but I associate both. So anytime the moon is in Scorpio, I can tell you I get cranky. The moon does not work at her best in the Mars sign, which again, traditionally astrologers associated with Scorpio. So Scorpio rules over my third house of communication. I have a moon in the first house, and I know every time the moon goes into Scorpio, I get cranky. I get mad. And the general energy, honestly, will be a little cranky. If you pay attention to it, I think except for Scorpio moons, I think everyone else gets cranky. And pay attention to it on Monday, maybe Sunday night, Tuesday, and just see if there's a more annoyed energy. Obviously not all of you, but a lot of people I've talked to feel the same way, right? Just the collective energy and people's emotions. So most of the time during this moon phase, again, especially with the moon, you will find this energy is more physical, but it depends on where Mars is. So if Mars was still in Cancer, this full moon would not be very physical. Now that Mars is in Leo, the fire sign, yes, it's going to be more of a physical full moon. So there will be more cranky energy around you. Again, I'm only looking at my tainted, third house glasses, but the sexual energy will be heightened again, especially with Venus in Aries. So there is a fire trine between Venus and Mars right now. And then you got the full moon in Scorpio, which is always naturally very sexual. So there's going to be a very heightened sexual energy that comes. Easily triggered energy. People, again, will be more emotionally heightened, or just like more like, you annoyed me, get out of my face. Sometimes people can tend to be more tired or more drained during this full moon, especially, or any water full moons. However, not when Mars is in Leo, now direct. Like I said, it's still going to be a very fiery energy. This is going to be more hyper and high energy full moon, but like be careful, because if you do feel, you won't be like, I need to pass out and not move. Your tired will show up in, again, crankiness and like, I got to run all day long and I don't want to anymore. People will be quicker to fight or argue. So everything we talked about during this Pluto retrograde is going to be very relevant and come up during this full moon in Scorpio. Remember, Mars rules over cutting, severing, slicing. Normally the energy that gets brought up with this full moon is going to be endings. And we always already look to full moons as endings, as release. It's the let go of the month. So as we know, different moon cycles bring about different things. So this is actually a really good one to get a release through a burn, through cutting something up. I even as simple as like you need an emotional connection to cut with someone. Have you ever done where you put like you meditate and put a mental red string between you and the other person, usually in the lower chakras, and you cut it. You do all kinds of things. So let go, okay, of the person, place, or thing, that power dynamic. Let go of a habit, let go of an identity. Do something physical to release that stuck emotions as well. Mercury entering Taurus on Saturday, May 10th will be present. So at the full moon in Scorpio, if you need calm energy during this full moon in Scorpio, go out to nature. Everything is blooming right now. Go somewhere into nature and find yourself a nice, cozy spot. Recharge. Mercury, again, is co-present with this full moon and will bring messages for my fixed sign placements. My fixed signs are going to be feeling this energy the most. You all have messages from others that bring awareness, heightened emotional awareness, messages of endings, conflict resolution through, on spot or random opportunity. So these messages or these awareness, again, on the spot conflict resolution, like we just talked about, or just a random opportunity. So this is a time to be very clear about what is holding you back. And oftentimes it's our own thinking. Remember that, especially with Mercury being co-present, with Mercury co-present during this full moon. So that's going to be a big theme. Most moods, anger, annoyance, etc., can literally be changed with a shift in our mindset. Yes, I know you guys are like, well, you just said, Colleen, that, the Scorpio moon makes it happen. No, the Scorpio moon brings about awareness. The Scorpio moon brings that energy. One day you'll be able to have that Scorpio moon and not react anymore. You'll be, observing that energy within you without that reaction outward. So that is what the planets do for us. So even just a simple catch your thinking in the moment and change the opposite word. I know I have learned if I'm really tired but I have to get through the day, I don't repeat to myself all day long, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. What do you think that does? That makes you tired, and that keeps telling your body and your brain, you're tired. It doesn't make it any better. It makes it worse. Instead, I will tell myself, I have so much energy. I am not tired. I will repeat myself. And often, it's not that I just didn't make it worse. And usually my mindset gets more like, okay, it like gives me a boost. And I end up letting go of the focusing of tired. And half the time I forget I'm tired. So remember that we can be in control of our brains. There's a large part we can't control, but the stuff that comes to surface, we can. But it takes a lot of work. All right. So use this awareness, use this honesty within yourself and burn some shit up. I love you guys. Have an amazing full moon. Again, next week I'll be back to my routine. What do they say? Routine programming or whatever. I'm back, bitches. Love you. Goodbye.